Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic, phenomenal day. We're taking another look here at SUI, seeing what's going on. This coin has been misbehaving, but truth is it's performing pretty much concurrent with the rest of the market. So I wouldn't be super concerned. It did recover up to this local point of control at about $4.40 and has since rejected. Most coins did the same exact thing. Solana rejected off its point of control, and then same thing with Bitcoin right there at this $97,000 range, right? So again, definitely some things to kind of be mindful of and aware of. Points of control are very important. As we can see here, we actually took along with SUI, and I think our average price is somewhere in the range of like 425, 430. And once the price invalidated right here at this 445 mark, we closed the trade and essentially shifted to gears to a Bitcoin short. So if you kind of see here, we closed our SUI trade manually, opened a short 96.5 to 94.5 for Bitcoin, claimed 20% there to kind of recover that trade that was in the red. So sometimes you have to do that. You have to flip to a short position. You don't have to necessarily do it with the same coin. I never recommend shorting SUI, even though it's moving down pretty fast. It's just a very high risk trade to take to the downside because the recovery for this coin is usually very strong and very swift. So if you're day trading, maybe watch it close, different story, but as a swing trader, I'm terrified of shorting SUI. It's just not a good call. So what we're going to talk about today is support and resistance levels based on back-end liquidation data, also the charts, of course, and just recognize, best practice along the way and what's going on with that. Because, hey, there's going to be times where you have to, cut some losses. I think we took a 10% loss with SUI, but again, we recover that with a 20% gain, right? So a lot of times that's how it works. Keep in mind, too, you don't just close a trade and then instantly open a short. Even though what we did was essentially that, it was a different trading pair. It was also a different coin that I felt very comfortable with. I don't recommend just instantly hitting that reverse button every time you decide you want to change your mind on something. It's going to get you in trouble. You're going to get terrible fills, and again, it's going to be just not a great experience. Okay, rarely will it work out in your favor. Having said that, always do limit orders. That's just kind of the good way to go. Now, what we want to look at here is back-end data here for SUI, see what the liquidation levels are looking at. Majority of the local liquidation just got swept, so wouldn't be surprised if we see a slight relief rally. But again, Bitcoin is on its way back down. I personally feel that Bitcoin's going to continue lower here. We got this local point of control now at 95.5 for Bitcoin. So the price does recover. I'm expecting a rejection there. And there is still some liquidation to the downside as low as about 87, 88K. Right? Again, that's still a bit far-fetched, but just letting you know that's that's relevant. Okay, and the reason why that's relevant here to SUI is because SUI, in a lot of ways, is performing very concurrent with Bitcoin right now. And you got to recognize when coins align themselves with Bitcoin, it's not a bad thing. It's just you got to know that at this given time, Bitcoin makes a move, it's going to follow suit, right? Same thing. So it's not a big deal. The important thing is to identify when coins shift gears, and that's a good thing about SUI. It's one of the first coins in the market almost every time to recover almost instantly. So that's why shorting this coin can be very treacherous. So at this point here, what we want to look at is some key validation levels. But just know 340 to 360 is a massive amount of liquidation. We already know that here from the macro, but we're still a long ways away from that. So I'm not claiming we're going to see that. I do think we have a support at around $4. That's just kind of that large round number that most people will focus on, and they'll set limit orders there. So just know that $4 should work as a support if we see that here soon. It might be a reality if Bitcoin starts running towards 90K. Anyways, either way you look at it, I have limit orders set on Bitcoin, Solana, and SUI for on the way down. I got really lucky with that wick down to 350 here for SUI. So feel free to just kind of set like outrageous limit orders, and a lot of times they'll get filled just because of how nonsensical the market moves. We can see here Delta, liquidation delta is high for shorts, basically implying people are taking more shorts than longs at this point, which is sensible. Again, I don't like to short this coin, but in general, you're going to find more success going down than up at this given time. Having said that, though, we can see our local point of control, or just say, this is basically open interest, rather. A lot of folks are heavy at 450, okay? Again, they bought that dip, expecting that to be the bottom. It didn't, continued higher. I understand that, though, because that was like the local point of control at the time, and that was also like a key fib level at that 450, 460. So we can kind of see it's roughly in this range here. That's where folks got in. It's just normal. It's common to try to buy those dips, but since the price continued to dip, you cut your losses, you get out. That's why you have a stop loss in place. That the stop loss is designed to help prevent future losses versus like what people seem to think that stop losses are bad. If you're setting it according to your risk tolerance, it's just kind of a normal thing. It shouldn't impact you at all. Again, that's if you're using proper risk tolerance and you're only using 5% per trade. If you're using more than 5% of your total available portfolio, then you are doing it wrong. Okay. And again, it's easy to say. I know, when you have larger portfolios, which I trade with a large one, of course, it's easier to maintain and to see more gains when you have a bigger portfolio. But it's also see bigger losses too. So you got to respect the fact that you're going to take a pretty big hit if you're not careful. So if you only use a small percent of your total portfolio and you take a loss, it's not the end of the world, right? You walk away from it. Some folks get fully liquidated because they're just completely, it's too stubborn to be like, oh, it's gonna recover. I'm gonna keep adding to my margin. Don't trade cross leverage if you're new a trader, folks. Just keep it isolated. You get liquidated, forget it, learn from it, move on. Okay. I haven't gotten liquidated in years because we always use a good risk tolerance and we make sure that we don't over leverage. Okay. Cross leverage gets you in significant trouble. Daily time frame, we're under 50 on the RSI now. This is a very new place for SUI. Granted, the last time we did this, it was back in October, and the price action was tremendously lower, but for the most part, we don't really see the RSI under 50 for this coin, and we haven't seen that in months. So what that basically means for us is this kind of uncharted territory. This could imply further downside for this coin. All right. Now, I'm not saying that just because we've broken below that, we're just going to move down. The last few times it's done that, it's only maintained that level for a short while. But that does imply that bearish divergence is essentially happening. However, we look here, we're not under 50 on the RSI yet, or sorry, that's the 50 SMA rather, and that's an important thing too. So being above this gives us some vote of confidence. Again, that's close to that 380 range we talked about previously being somewhat of a support resistance. So to me, I think unless we close below 380, we don't really need to worry too much. Do I think we're going to probably see that? In short, yes, because Bitcoin is moving towards that 93K range. It starts trending towards 92, 91. You bet your butt SUI is going to follow suit. There's so much profit to be taken here that market makers are going to dump this coin, right? That's exactly what happened a few days ago when the price jumped down to 350. So just know it's a possible reality. Do you just close everything and run for the hills? Not necessarily. It just depends on where you're at. If you're in a high leverage long position for SUI, you should probably be worried. Yeah, that's really the only way to describe it. But as far as spot bags are concerned, just keep adding to your spot position. It's really not a problem. It's actually a good option to dollar cost average because this coin, I do feel, will definitely continue to maintain its value and go higher. Stochastic swinging down, MACD, everything's pretty much pointing down minus the 50-day SMA. So we got one constellation out of like 9 reasons not to take a long position. Okay, 4-hour time frame. We're almost filling our fair value gap. 390, basically $4 would put us there. We're over the 200-day SMA, but below every other one. Okay, so when we're below all moving averages, folks, you don't necessarily short into it, but you definitely don't take longs. Right, that's the easy way to understand it. So with this coin, the easy way to get it is to just don't take any longs until we have confirmation. And confirmation is going to come later, not right now. We could very well see that in a few days, but for the most part, this descending trend just doesn't make any sense to trade against it. We're under 50 on the RSI here, the 4-hour time frame. We're spending more time underneath that. And if you look at the last time we were under 50 on the RSI, it was from this range to this range. Okay, so we may not see the exact same thing, but hypothetically, we're beginning to see those shapings occur. Okay, so again, just kind of food for thought, really. Again, this is just adding to the potential of further downside for this coin. Now, if Bitcoin stabilizes at 94 to 95K or runs back up to 96K, you bet your butt SUI is going to ramp back up, destroy any of those late shorts, and it's as if it never happened. So please, please, please recognize that and understand that there's a significant amount of volatility with this coin, and it's just best in most cases to wait for confirmation to take a long versus trying to buy the dip as it keeps dipping. Right. At this point, though, confirmation would come with the close above 440. If you take a look at this local point of control, you can see we have the most amount of volume here and here at about 450. So 440 to 450 is that resistance range. I'll post a playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, or Discord here soon so you can see roughly what that looks like. I'll kind of summarize it a lot easier. I know the charts kind of look funky right now, but I'll update that and kind of post that, and it'll give you some perspective on that range. But just now, if you made it through this part of the video, 440 to 450 is effectively that resistance range. And again, we're just seeing this descending type of trend with the cloud. You could even draw a descending trend line and see it pretty clear as day. There's no reason to take a long into this until we close 440, maybe even 450 or higher. And I know it seems crazy to wait to take a long at that point, right? But the truth is, you're not being a breakout trader. You're not trying to buy the bottom when the bottom keeps dropping. And you're in a position where you're going to be much more successful having waited for confirmation. Okay, again, that's all I'm ever going to recommend, folks. That's just the way it goes. If you want to hear what you want to hear, you maybe watch some other Moon Boys, and they'll probably tell you it's going to go to the moon every stinking day. It's my guess, anyways. I've never watched another Moon Boy, but I hear from my community that they are they're quite prophetic. Also, sounds like you could say pathetic too in the same word. Anyways, that's a conversation for another day. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned something today. Comment below if you get a chance. Do not forget to like the videos every time you watch them. Join us over at Bitunix too, folks. If you haven't used them, you're missing out. Phenomenal exchange, no KYC or VPN required. Use my link to register. You'll be eligible for all future and current bonuses. Until December 31st, there's a $12,000 deposit bonus. Once more, I'll post our playout chart here shortly. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks so much for your time. Soon.